In the small village of Okon, nestled in the heart of Africa, a man named Okon lived a peaceful life with his wife, Neoma. They were known for their kindness and generosity, often helping those in need. Okon was a successful businessman, and his wealth had brought prosperity to the village. But one fateful day, Neoma fell ill and passed away. The village was shocked, and Okon was devastated. He was heartbroken, and his world came crashing down. The villagers, fueled by grief and suspicion, began to whisper among themselves. They accused Okon of killing his wife to inherit her property. The villagers, driven by jealousy and greed, took Okon to the village council. The council, without investigating the matter, banned Okon from the community. They said he was no longer welcome in the village. Okon was shocked and heartbroken. He had done nothing wrong, but the villagers had turned against him. He tried to reason with them, but they wouldn't listen. As Okon left the village, he vowed to take revenge on the community that had wronged him. He swore to show them the true meaning of power and wealth. Okon left the village and started building a new life in the city. He worked hard and invested in various businesses. He became richer and more powerful, but he never forgot the injustice done to him. Years passed, and Okon's businesses flourished. He began to secretly buy land and properties in the village, including the local market and the village's main water source. The villagers were unaware of Okon's plans, but they soon found out. Okon started to implement his plan of revenge. He increased the prices of goods in the market, and the villagers were forced to pay. He cut off the water supply, and the villagers had to beg for water. Okon's actions brought suffering to the village, and the villagers began to regret their decision to ban him. The villagers tried to apologize, but Okon was unforgiving. He said, "You should have given me justice when I needed it. Now, you'll pay for your injustice." As the villagers suffered, Okon's wealth and power grew. But deep down, he was still hurting. He had lost the love of his life, and the villagers had taken away his home. One day, a young girl from the village came to Okon's office, begging for help. Her mother was ill, and they couldn't afford the medicine. Okon looked at the girl and saw Neoma's face. He remembered the love and kindness they had shared. For the first time, Okon felt a pang of guilt. He realized that his revenge had not brought him peace. Instead, it had consumed him. He decided to forgive the villagers and help them. Okon provided the medicine for the girl's mother and started to work on restoring the village's water source. He also reduced the prices of goods in the market. The villagers were overjoyed, and they apologized for their wrongdoings. Okon's story teaches us that revenge may seem sweet, but it ultimately consumes us. Forgiveness, on the other hand, sets us free. Okon's journey was long and painful, but he emerged stronger and wiser. As the villagers and Okon reconciled, they learned a valuable lesson. What goes around comes around. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Okon's story spread throughout the land, reminding people of the importance of forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. As the days went by, Okon's actions towards the villagers changed. He no longer sought revenge, but instead, he worked towards healing the wounds of the past. The villagers, too, began to see Okon in a new light. They realized that their accusations had been unfair and that Okon was truly a kind and generous man. One of the villagers, a young man named Ikena, approached Okon one day. "Okon, I'm sorry for what the village did to you," he said, his voice filled with remorse. "We were blinded by our own jealousy and fear. Can you ever forgive us?" Okon looked at Ikena, and he saw the sincerity in his eyes. "I forgave the village a long time ago," Okon said, with a gentle smile. "But I know that forgiveness is not just about me. It's about us. It's about healing and moving forward." Ikena nodded, and the two men shook hands. From that day on, Okon and Ikena worked together to rebuild the village. They started new projects, created jobs, and brought hope to the community. As the village began to flourish, Okon's health began to improve. He had been suffering from a chronic illness, but the peace and forgiveness he had found had a profound impact on his well-being. The villagers, too, began to heal. They learned to let go of their anger and resentment and to focus on the present. Years passed, and Okon became a leader in the village. He used his wealth and influence to help those in need. The villagers looked up to him as a role model, and he continued to inspire them with his kindness and generosity. One day, a group of visitors came to the village. They were travelers from a distant land, and they were amazed by the village's transformation. "What happened here?" one of them asked Okon. Okon smiled and said, "We were once a village consumed by anger and resentment. But we learned to forgive and move forward. We learned that forgiveness is not just a feeling, but a choice. And it's a choice that can change everything." The visitors nodded, taking in Okon's words. They left the village with a newfound appreciation for the power of forgiveness and the importance of community. As the sun set on the village, Okon looked out at the people he had come to care for. He knew that he had found a new family, a new home, and he knew that he would continue to live out the lessons he had learned, the importance of forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. The villagers gathered around Okon, and they began to share stories of their journey. They talked about the struggles they had faced and the triumphs they had achieved. They laughed and cried together, and Okon felt a sense of peace wash over him. In that moment, Okon knew that he had finally found what he had been searching for all along. He had found a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, and he knew that he would always be grateful for the lessons he had learned on his journey. As the night wore on, the villagers began to disperse. Okon stood up, and the villagers gathered around him. "Thank you for being part of my journey," Okon said, his voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for teaching me the power of forgiveness and the importance of community." The villagers applauded, and Okon smiled. He knew that he would always carry the lessons of his journey with him, and he was grateful for the opportunity to share them with others. And so, Okon's story came full circle. He had faced adversity and had emerged stronger and wiser. He had learned the importance of forgiveness and the power of community, and he had found a new sense of purpose and belonging. The villagers looked up to Okon as a role model, and he continued to inspire them with his kindness and generosity. And as they looked at him, they knew that they would never forget the lessons they had learned from his story. Okon's journey had been long and difficult, but it had been worth it. He had found peace, forgiveness, and a new sense of purpose. And he knew that he would always be grateful for the journey that had brought him to where he was today. The story of Okon spread throughout the land, inspiring others to forgive and move forward. It reminded them that forgiveness is a choice, and it's a choice that can change everything. And it showed them that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future. As the years went by, Okon's legacy lived on. He became a symbol of forgiveness and redemption, and his story continued to inspire generations to come. And the village prospered, a testament to the power of forgiveness and the importance of community. And so, Okon's story became a reminder to always choose forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. It reminded people that everyone deserves a second chance, and that forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds. Okon's story will live on, inspiring others to forgive and move forward. It will remind them that forgiveness is a choice, and it's a choice that can change everything.